All right.
Okay, we're live now. Guys,
All right.
let's talk fishing video podcast. My name is Jay Angel, and I'm going to be your podcaster for this evening. With me tonight, I have an old friend of mine. I met him when we were both on the Vector Hooks protein. A guy by the name of Ryun Snyder. Ryun Snyder is the trout this guy catches are truly amazing. I've seen pictures. But without further ado, how are you doing tonight, Ryan?
Doing good. We just worked through a little bit of technical difficulties to be here tonight, but here we are, and let's give the people a good show tonight.
Yes. So you got a really cool job, don't you?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I do quite a few different things for the company I work for, Diamond Fishing Products, also known as Recom Outdoors. We are also Zack Attack Lures, Highliner Fishing Gear, Bridal Buddy. We have quite the umbrella of companies, and I'm fortunate enough to do a little bit of everything. So,
Well, guys, what I want to show you, Ryan and Diamond Fishing Products were good enough to send me a box. You know, man, one thing I love about being a podcaster is the boxes. Cool things come in boxes, particularly
cool
long rod
things do
tubes.
come in boxes.
Actually, I like rod tubes better, but
Yeah, I think we all do.
but you actually need other things too. Oh, come
Well,
on.
the line is one of the most important pieces to the puzzle, because if the line isn't very good, then you're not going to get very many fish in the boat.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Man, I love hats. I love hats, guys.
Gotta have a hat.
I love hats. My hair sucks, so.
There you go. It looks good on you.
Ooh, let's talk about this fluorocarbon leader, 20 pound.
Yeah. So, fluorocarbon, through the COVID days, became a very weird and hard product to get. We are very glad. Yes, and believe it or not, part of that actually goes back onto the electric vehicle market. A lot of people don't know about that. A lot of the same resins used in fluorocarbon is used for electric vehicles, and so that didn't help. But we are very excited to have a new fluorocarbon out on the market. It's our presentation Generation 2. Just as good as the original presentation fluorocarbon. It's a very high abrasion resistant fluorocarbon, very thin diameter. We offer that in clear and pink, from 10 pound all the way up to 100 pounds in the wrist spools.
Nice.
And then we do some heavier pounds as well in 100-foot coils. So, and those go up to, I want to say, 180 pound on the coils.
This says pink, so yeah. Wow, cool.
Yeah. A lot of guys say the pink disappears better in the water. My personal preference is either or. I don't have a preference to pink or clear. But some guys swear by the pink, especially in the clear water.
And look at this.
So that's a very, very new product for us. We haven't done a 100% pure fluorocarbon mainline ever before. So Momoy is our monofilament manufacturer, and they produce that product as well. It's produced in Japan. It's the highest quality product that you're going to find on the market. Momoy is known best for their monofilaments, and fluorocarbon falls right in that same line.
One of our friends just checked in, Ryan. Cajun Rob, he said, "What's up, Ryan?" He has a yak now.
Oh, right on. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Now I can see the comments and stuff. Cajun Rob, how's it going?
And Cajun Rob actually works for a very cool place, Pittman Creek. Distributors.
Okay. Yeah.
And of course,
Heard of them.
that's freaking Rob's dream job. I mean, I'm like, they have to pay you to do that?
Most people do it for free.
Yeah. Rob, okay, he just said Ryan is an absolute hammer. And Rob, you're right. This guy catches trout that I can only dream of. Diamond fishing products.
We got to get you down here, Jay.
Yeah, you
All
do.
right, so the new micro braid Apex is what we're calling it. I'm extremely excited about this one, being that I am a artificial junkie. All I do is I throw artificials. I absolutely hate fishing with live bait unless it comes to offshore fishing, but I am all about artificial. So we worked very closely with Captain C.A. Richardson of Flats Class TV on the Apex braid, as well as the SoFlex fluorocarbon. He was a big help in that as well. But the Apex micro braid is going to be a game changer. And the reason I say that, and Jay, you have another pack, you have another box in there as well, so you'll really be able to tell the difference there. But the diameter of this stuff is just unbelievable. It is super thin, it's super strong, and it's still an 8-carrier braid, which is very hard to find in a micro, like finesse style braid. But it's so close in comparison to break strength of our current Generation 3 braid, which I also have here. I think Jay just pulled that out of the box as well. But the Apex micro braid is on average 15% thinner than our current Gen 3. And it fluctuates a little bit depending on the pound test. So some of them are...
I bet you this stuff is like dream. It's just a dream come true as far as castability.
It casts unbelievable. And if you have any wind or current that you're fishing in, it cuts right through the wind. It cuts right through the current. We're offering this in 3 colors currently. So Jay, I believe I sent you moss green. So that's your traditional, darker green. This color I have here, that is overcast gray. And the lighting's kind of messing it up. And the camera's not really picking it up either there. But the overcast gray is a very, very cool color because you can get away with fishing a shorter leader here as a saltwater fisherman in Florida. We have a lot of clear water, and we usually fish a long leader. Like my average leader length is 8 foot or 10 foot. And I'm doing an FG knot.
And I'm only using like 18 inches because, all of ours, you've probably been to Louisiana before to fish salt, but it's all of our stuff is brown, but it's full of fish.
So the nice thing with the gray fishing those clear waters is you can get away fishing that shorter leader. When the fish looks up, he's not going to see that braid. If it's like a bright orange or a blue, it kind of stands out more. This gray almost disappears into the backlight. It's incredible. The other color that we are running in this is going to be yellow, high-vis yellow. Okay. So
we have a comment from the audience. I'm sorry, Colin, I did not see you.
Yeah.
Colin Burnett is another podcaster, does Deck Talk, real good podcast. So we actually have 3 podcasters here, me, Rob, and Colin from 3 different podcasts. This is a good time to promote Line, Ryan.
Well, so
3 loudmouths here.
Good. Let's spread the word. Let's get it out there, and this yellow, we don't have a big presence in the bass world per se. I mean, sure, some guys might stumble into our products and end up using them bass fishing, but we don't have that presence in the bass industry like, Power Pro or, Zuri or Sunline or some of those other companies. But this yellow micro braid, the reason we ran yellow is, well, one, it's super high vis, and in our Gen 3 we run an orange as our high vis. But I know a lot of the bass guys that finesse fish, so drop shot or whatever you have,
Fast, that's going to be even bigger. Forward facing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The FFS guys should be all over that line. And I agree with you, Rob.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so that was why we kind of ran the yellow. A lot of guys I know with that forward-facing sonar, drop shot fishing, throwing small swim baits for picky smallmouths. These guys like to be able to see their line, and the yellow seems to be the most popular choice in that aspect. So we ran the yellow. So hopefully the bass guys will pick up on that.
Let's talk about something right now. How can a guy find diamond fishing products? If a guy is so sold on this, where can he find this to purchase this?
So the couple of these newer products, the SoFlex and the Micro Braid, the Apex, we're slowly starting to trickle now into our dealers. We just launched it last month at ICAST, so it might take a couple months, or hopefully not a couple months, but a couple weeks to really get this to all of our dealers. Diamond fishing as a whole does not sell direct to consumer, unfortunately, but we do sell through some of the largest retail stores in the United States. So some of those being like Bass Pro, you'd be able to order it online here very soon. Chaos Fishing, you've got Tackle Direct, some of those bigger online retailers will definitely have our products as soon as we can get it out the door to them. Outside of that, we do have a lot of smaller tackle shops, mostly coastal stores that carry all of our products. And if your local tackle shop isn't carrying diamond products, go in there and bug them about it. Be like, hey, why don't you guys get diamond products? You guys should have this.
Okay, we have a couple of comments. Bill Kutka, great friend of mine, walleye fishing guide, actually multi-species fishing guide from Wisconsin, Ohio, and Florida. He guides all three places. He said, hey guys, love the high vis yellow braid, and he's a walleye guy. Brenton Zitka has a question. He said, what is the range of pound test that will be available?
So on the new Apex Micro Braid, that's going to be available in 6, 8, 10, 15, 20, and 30 pound to begin. And then hopefully here soon we have a much larger range of sizes as well. That's currently only available in a 300-yard spool. We are working to offer it in larger spools like 600, 1,500-yard, and 3,000-yard. For our Generation 3 braid, which is our standard 8X braid, that's available from 10 pound all the way to 100 pound. And that's available in 300, 600, 1,500, and 3,000-yard spools. And we have four solid colors of the Gen 3. So we've got a white, we've got an orange, we've got a blue, we do a moss green, and then we have some multicolor as well. So we have a jigging braid that's a 5-color, changes every 20 feet. We've got a couple of collegiate braids, so, like Gator Braid, LSU, Alabama. Those change every 50 feet. So I mean, we have quite the range on the braided side, and then the mono side is just unbelievable as well.
So you do make regular mono too, then?
Oh yeah, yep. So we're the U.S. Distributor of Momoy monofilament. Most will say it's the highest quality mono in the world. It's the only mono I trust. We have a specific mono outside of theirs to us, the Momoy Diamond line, and that is available in a variety of different sizes and colors. We do that's more of our big game stuff. We do some lighter pound, but the Momoy High Catch we have from 6 pound all the way up to 200 pound. So, or even higher than that.
Wow, I cannot wait to put this stuff on this.
That's going to be a good fit right there. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This is so new. I haven't even put look at that 8.2.
Fast gear ratio for one of those When those redfish come charging the boat or come charging you.
I'm going to use this for big bass fishing in Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn. I just made some good friends out there. I cannot wait to get out there and do. But I want to talk fishing with you, Ryan. I don't get to talk to you very often anymore. Ryan is a huge speckled trout guy, and you guys know how much I like speckled trout, man. Speckled trout are just – I have not fished bass in almost a year because I got sidetracked by speckled trout, and that's fine with me. But I'm going to – of course, I'm going to go on a quest for a 10-pound plus fish. But
they're out there.
Particularly in East Texas, which is, only 4 hours away from where I live.
Man, I'd be there every weekend if I lived where you live. East Texas is the land of the giants. However,
but also I'm only 2.5 hours.
Nope, I got you.
I'm only 2.5 hours from some of the best speckled trout fishing. Yep, I'm only 2.5 hours away from some of the best speckled trout fishing in the world. But I want to hear about where you fish speckled trout, Ryan.
Well, it's an interesting place. There's not many people who. I mean, it's a fairly well known area. And like we're saying, Texas has got these giants, and Louisiana has giants as well. But Northeast Florida isn't somewhere to sleep on. Northeast Florida has a very unique fishery where we have a landlocked body of water that holds literally world record trout. There's 3 world records currently standing on fly tackle out of the lake. And currently, Northeast Florida is winning the, what are they calling it? There's that online tournament from the guys over at Speckled Truth. Yep. They're doing a by weight, largest fish and everything. And currently, Dr. Jay Wright, and actually has become a friend of mine, is leading the tournament over the Texas guys, over the Louisiana guys out of Florida here, with almost like a 9.5-pound average across 10 fish.
Wow.
And he has an 11.5-pound
average.
He's got an 11.5-pound kicker in that bag.
How long is a 9.5-pound trout?
So out of this particular waterway, it depends. I haven't put one on the scale. I did catch 3 last year that were 28 inches. 28. And okay. one of them, I was like, dang, this fish is pretty heavy. And it was built right. It was a big fat fish. Full. It wasn't even mating season or breeding season, so it was just full of mullet. And I mean, I'd call that fish over 9 pounds. That's 28 inches. Yeah. The 11.5 pounder that was caught out of there was 32, almost 32 inches. It was 11.5 pounds. 32. So that just shows the girth on these fish in the lake is just unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. My personal best was 25, and anything over 20 inches, actually anything over 18, I take pictures of.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm fishing anywhere else, if I'm fishing in the river or, like the marsh and stuff like that for redfish, and I catch a trout that's 22 inches, I'm like, dang, that's a good trout.
It is.
But then you go to this body of water where we're catching these giants, and it's like, well, 22 is just kind of like whatever. It's just kind of an average fish, and you just.
Are you sight fishing for these? Can you see them?
No. Oh, absolutely not. The water is chocolate milk brown. It's about 3 foot deep on average. There's 0 structure. There's 0 current. There's nothing to relate these fish to.
What do they eat?
They eat mostly mullet and shrimp. There's also croakers. I've caught menhaden in there. There's tons of bait fish. The bait fish is just unbelievable in there.
So is this thing?
There's so much for it.
This thing must be hooked up to the ocean in some kind of way to keep the salt in there, because the salt will settle out.
Yeah, well, so it's actually a hypersalinic body of water. So when they dug this body of water, they broke the cap rock and they were like, "Oh, that's saltwater. It's supposed to be a freshwater reservoir
So you have
originally, like a drinking reservoir."
water. So then you have
No, it's 100% salt water. They do have a bit of so they have to fight some of the drainage issues now. So, because obviously it's been built up around and everything like that. So you got all this fresh water washing in from communities and golf courses and this, that, and the other. So there's a dam on the south end of the lake that is connected to the intercoastal waterway. So they do a great job managing the water quality that way.
Okay, we have a couple of comments I'd like to go over. Brenton Zitka said he's going to see if his local shop will cover your line, will handle your line. He's from Minnesota.
Oh, right on.
And Thomas Michael Bottom says, now you're talking. I'd like to know Ryan's top 3 gators for top 3 lures for gators.
Thomas knows my top 3 lures. Me and Thomas have fished together a handful of times, and me and Thomas hadn't had a banger day together because we choose the worst weather days to go. Me and him went out one morning. They do some duck hunting on the lake there, and they shut the lake down through most of the winter, the good areas of it. And me and Thomas decided it was opening day to allow recreational kayaking and stuff back up on that north end. And me and him were like, "Nah, we're going, like no matter what." And the weather was atrocious. I mean, we launched at, I don't know, I think it was like 4 or 4:30 in the morning. It was cold. It was raining. It was windy. I mean, it was 20-mile-an-hour plus winds. And we get in the kayaks and we push off. And we started up kind of protected by marsh grass, which marsh grass doesn't do much for you. And then we tried to go out into the main lake where we normally like to fish. It must have been 10 minutes after sunrise, and we're both like, "What are we doing? Why are we doing this?" That was the end of our day right there. We didn't catch a fish, I don't think. But no, Thomas knows. Damn. Throwing topwaters. That's not particularly my favorite color. I didn't have one handy.
Okay.
But little, I guess it's a Mansfield knocker, or some companies call it a peanut. I paint them myself. I paint all my own hard baits. So that's number 1. From usually we launch an hour before the sun comes up. So an hour before daylight through the first 30 minutes of the sun being up, depending on cloud coverage, I'm throwing topwater. Usually a dark color too, like black belly, something real dark. From there, I'm going to a twitch bait. So this is another bait. This is another bait that I paint. It's I guess a knockoff of the Yozuri twitch bait.
Yep.
Very similar to a Myrdine MR17. Yeah. This is a go-to for me. I really like this color. I did not paint that one though. But my all-time favorite, there's a couple reasons why it's my all-time favorite. 1, it flat out catches fish. And 2, my largest trout was caught on this lure, this exact lure. I actually landed the fish, released it, cut the lure off the rod, and I said, I'm holding on to this as a memento. And maybe one day I'll get the fish mounted. But it was a 28-inch trout that definitely tipped the scale over 9 pounds. Absolute giant fish. Ate the lure right at the kayak off my rod tip. And that's going to be a 5-inch K Wiggler's paddle tail. I think they call this Texas Roach is the color. I throw that on an eye strike jig head. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up. There's actually teeth marks in the eyeball of that jig head. And then, like I said, it's the exact bait. I mean, so you can see it is torn up from a big trout. There's teeth marks all over that thing. Okay, I hold on to that. It hangs in my kitchen.
A few more comments, Ryan. Okay, MC Norris. Right. You remember MC Norris? He checked in.
Yep, MC Norris. What's going on, brother?
He checked in, and he wants to know if you're still making those. If you're still making those soft plastics.
No, unfortunately, I am not making plastics anymore. Just lack of room and lack of time. I do make hard baits, or I paint hard baits. It's kind of like my little hobby now. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, we've got
Diamond
we've
Fishing.
got Karen. We've got
Diamond
Karen,
Fishing.
our social media manager. How's it going?
Yeah, Diamond Fishing Product says, "Love your work, Jay and Ryan. You guys are rocking it. Thank you, thank you."
Love it.
And that's Karen.
That's Karen for sure. That comment's coming all the way from Australia, believe it or not.
Wow. Karen, all the way from Australia to watch my podcast. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. And Jeremy, the Mayhem.
Jeremy May. Watch out, Mr. Mayhem.
Mayhem himself checked in. Hello,
Jeremy. If you don't know Mr. Mayhem, you should know Mr. Mayhem. He's
Mayhem
quite the
awesome man.
Love Jeremy.
Don't let him cook pies.
So those would be my top 3 trout lures. One I've been experimenting with, and this particular pattern I'm dying to throw. I've thrown a couple other patterns and have caught some fish on it. I showed this to you before the show, but believe it or not, these big trout, when they're in like where we're catching them, they want to eat big baits. They don't want they don't want to sit there and eat 100 little tiny shrimp that are this big. They want to eat one big bait and that's it. They're done for the day. So that's a 5.3-inch glide bait painted to look like a juvenile redfish. The tail is going to be replaced. It's got to have blue on the tail. But I painted this specifically for the body of water that I fish because there's a story of a gentleman who goes, Captain Matt Chipperfield. He's one of the only captains that runs charters on this body of water. He's got a very unique boat for doing it. But he has a picture of I want to say it was like a 27-inch trout, which is a respectable fish that had eaten a topwater lure, like a 5-inch, walk the dog topwater. And when he landed the fish and looked and went to go and hook it, there was the tail of a redfish, and not a small redfish. I mean, I believe he estimated the redfish to be about 12 inches.
Wow.
Hanging out of the throat of this trout, and it still ate a topwater. So that's where the inspiration of this guy came in. I just haven't had time to get out and trout fish really this year. I've been slacking. I've been slacking hard.
That is. Here's my 2 favorite trout. This 3-inch swim bait, rattletail, and this thing made by the Mojo Tackle Company. I mean, I have caught so many 18-inch plus, and I'm on these 2 things. And this, I use an eighth of an ounce.
Yep.
And this thing, of course, you probably are against these.
The popping cork. I just don't have the patience for a popping cork. I don't have the patience.
I'll tell you, I don't like using them either. But if I cast out and pop, and I see that thing, there have been days when I could not catch fish throwing these.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I haven't had many days on our local trout water where you go out there and you don't catch a single fish. I could probably count those days on one hand, honestly. Less than 5 days I've gone out there and just not caught a single fish. Some days I've caught a single fish. But I just go out there and burn water. Fast, quick, just burning water. If I'm not seeing what I want, I'm just moving. Because like I said, there's no structure, there's no current, there's nothing for these fish to relate to. They relate solely on where the masses of bait are. And, you don't know, like you might be in an area and you're seeing some bait, but you don't know, like you could go a quarter mile down the lake and all of a sudden it's like, football fields of bait and trout everywhere, It's hard to pinpoint them, but when you do find them. What we got here from Jeremy?
He said, I caught a 9-pound bass in the wagon wheel in Venice, Louisiana. That's down at the bottom of it's where the Mississippi River spills out into the Gulf, and they have an area called the wagon wheel where just does this. I've heard if you can get through the catfish, you can catch some of the biggest fish you could possibly imagine.
So let's see. We have a question there from Breton as well. Breton Zitka asking what my favorite species to target is. That's a loaded question. I honestly, I don't have a singular particular fish that I love to target. One of the most difficult ones, though, I will say has been the large speckled sea trout. And I'm talking trout over that 25, 26-inch mark, big fish. If I could pick one fish to just go and play around with my whole life, probably swordfish. Swordfish, the gladiator of the sea.
So you've been telling me you like topwater, and you only like casting, but then you said swordfish, where
swordfish is the complete opposite. You're drift. We call it drifting and dreaming. You're out there dropping a bait in 1,800 feet of water and essentially slow trolling a dead squid. In the abyss. But I'm just, every fish fight's different. Every fish has a different attitude. And that fish will literally attack the boat. Like, you bring them up from the depth and they want to kill the boat. Like,
they're mad. I'd be mad.
Yeah,
too.
Well, I'll blame them. Love flounder fishing as well, Jeremy. I mean, like I said, I'll fish for anything. It doesn't matter. Like, if they're biting, I'm going. You know what I mean? Yeah. Flounder fishing has been really good here this year, though. We've had an amazing flounder run. Here too. Yeah.
This Saturday, one of my friends caught a 20-inch flounder. We actually measured it at 20 inches long. That's an amazing.
That's big over your way, right? Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I believe the big flounder tournament's coming up here soon. Or did it already happen? We have a big flounder tournament every year, and it never seems like it's at least like a 12-pound flounder that wins every year. I mean, that's like a 28, 29, 30-inch flounder. So, like, not only do we have giant trout here in Jacksonville, Florida, we have giant flounder and giant redfish. I mean, it's the fishery here is unbelievable.
but a 30-inch flounder, I've never even heard of one around here like that. You know, up in Alaska where you caught 30-inch flounder, they had the starry flounder up there. But most people, they would just throw back that's too little because they're
compared to the halibut.
Halibut. But still, fighting a halibut is like when I tell people, have you ever accidentally hooked your anchor line and thought it was a fish and tried to bring it into the boat? That's what fighting a halibut is like. It's just, I would much rather feel the head shakes of a speckled trout. I would much rather watch a largemouth bass jump out of the water.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, I mean, I'll fish for anything. It doesn't really matter to me as long as it fights and gives me a little bit of a challenge trying to locate it. The nice thing here in Florida is just the abundance of different life.
You guys have everything from tarpon to snook to all different, to even the
we got the exotics.
Yeah,
the exotic invasive freshwater fish. I was just down, 3 months ago doing that. Clown knifefish, peacock bass, snakeheads. I drive 4 hours and I can go do that.
Snakeheads.
We were tarpon fishing last month right here in Jacksonville.
Yep.
I mean, it you just don't know. Like, and it changes through the year. I mean, so right now, sure, we're tarpon fishing, but next month it's trout fishing. Yeah,
MC Norris said he likes to surf fish. I would much rather fish the marsh than fish surf. They're just, so many. I would much rather fish the marsh.
Yeah, I got pretty big into the surf fishing scene this past year, mostly targeted pompano. I don't know. That's another one, I mean, it's seasonal here. Like we get a pompano run in the spring and in the fall. There's something about going out there and taking a conventional reel. We're using magnetic cast control conventional reels, 13-foot rod, 12, 13-foot rods, and throwing that thing 120 yards.
Yeah.
It's like that part right there is fun. That alone, and then now you get to fight fish.
Well, we were out there casting swim baits. When I'm surf fishing, I always use bigger swim baits than this, just because I want it to be seen. This is more in the marsh. I like to throw small stuff. When I'm out there in the surf, I throw a little bit bigger. 4 and 5 inch swim baits.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of sharks out there. We actually caught a few on pompano too, and guys were being bitten off, and they were saying, Jack Crevalle's. I'm like, no. Black tip sharks.
Jack Crevalle's don't have teeth.
And also, Jack Crevalle's are like a freight train. They go one way.
Yep.
Sharks.
Yeah, sharks all over the place. Yeah. So I mean, we're well. I guess I could show you that. I got one of my trout setups here.
Yeah, let's see that, man. I want to see your trout setup.
So that's a Daiwa Ballistic MQ, super light. That's spooled with the 6-pound Apex, Diamond Apex braid, micro braid. Yes, 6-pound trout fishing, red fishing even. I catch 30-inch redfish on 6-pound. It's so much fun.
I've been broken off by a lot of redfish because, we have so many oysters around here, It doesn't.
Yeah, well, we got quite a few too. You just kind of got to move the kayak around them. I'll throw this Z-Man finesse shrimp a lot on this setup. So I'm sight fishing the redfish on low tide around here. So Daiwa Ballistic MQ 2500, 6-pound Diamond Apex braid. I use a 15-pound fluorocarbon leader, Diamond Generation 2 presentation. And this is a very unique rod.
What is it?
That is a Ocean's Legacy Quest series. So this rod is a company out of Australia. And it is a 2-piece rod. There's the joint right there. But this is a 7-foot-1, and I believe it's 6 to 10-pound rating. Fast taper rod. It is super, super fun. Like, it is very flexy. The owner of the company actually cannot believe that I haven't broken it yet. I've caught fish on it 4 times the size of what they use it for in Australia. Yeah. I saw it in ICAST, and he's like, "Hey, did you break that rod yet?" And I'm like, "Nope, not yet." So he can't believe that. That's a very fun setup for trout. I throw a lot of my small lures on that, my twitch baits, and that micro shrimp.
Yep. So, Jeremy, it's about 38 after the hour. Do you have any shout-outs you'd like to do?
Yeah, I mean, big shout-out to Diamond Fishing Products and Recom Outdoors as a whole. Like, that's the main company, Recom Outdoors. I have a great place to work. I love working there. They make sure I get out and fish, even though we got a lot going on. So that's nice. So big shout-out to them, Diamond Fishing Products. And another big shout out to Vector Hooks. I didn't even talk about that on my trout lures. Obviously, the Tornado treble hook is an absolute menace on any fish.
Absolute menace in your hands too.
Yeah, don't get them in your hand. Ask Jeremy about that. Jeremy May knows very well about what not to do with Tornado treble hooks. They will go in you, and they're not fun to get out. So big shout out to Vector Hooks as well. They've been great to me, hooking it up with hooks and stuff like that, keep me on the fish. Another shout out to Ocean's Legacy. They carry me as well with the rods. And big shout out to you, Jay, for having me on the show tonight.
Well, thank you. Did Vector start making jig heads?
They have not started making jig heads yet. They do have jig hooks available. So if you know a jig maker, you can get some hooks and have a jig guy. Thomas, we got a couple local jig makers. The boys over at Skinny Water Lures. They can probably hook you up. talk to them, see about getting some hooks. If you got the hooks, maybe they'll pull them for you. Tried to get them to switch their jig heads all over. The price point is up there a little bit compared to some of the other hooks on the market, but that's what you get for, it's the best hook on the market. You're going to pay a little more.
Well, just like with rods, you're not going to buy a good rod for under $300. You're just not.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You get what you pay for, and if you want to take your fishing to the next level, you're going to have to invest in it. It's a very expensive sport.
Yes. No, it's not cheap.
It's very, very expensive. With my rods, all the rods I have probably cost 3 times as much as my crappy truck.
I hear you. I've got quite between the kayak and the rods. Yeah, they're probably more than the truck.
So, I'm not even going to start talking about the lures.
Yeah, right. Hey, why do you think I paint my own now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hey, Jay, again, thank you for having me on. Like we said at the beginning of the show here, we had some technical difficulties getting to this point. One of them was me getting connected, and I hate to break the news there, but my laptop wasn't working, so I'm on my phone, and that's about to disconnect me as well because my battery's dying quick.
Just want to leave you guys with this. Remember that you can get Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's.
Yeah, Bass Pro, Tackle Direct, Melton International Tackle, or some. That's just to name a couple of our big online distributors. So
okay, and so we don't have much time here because he's going to lose his phone. But man, thank you guys so much. Remember, it's Thursday night. Make your plans to go fishing. Get out there this weekend. I know it's 110 degrees down here, but get out there because you only get to do this once. And Rob, try this line, man. I'm definitely going to be spooling. I have 2 brand new reels that I haven't even spooled yet. So thank you, Diamond Fishing Products. Oh, good Lord. We just had a swear. I think we lost Ryan. Okay, guys, I went too long. But anyways, that was funny. I just can't stop laughing. All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to end the podcast. Thank you all for joining into the Let's Talk Fishing podcast. Geez, I'm thrown off after that. I'm thrown. No, Rob, I didn't censor him. I did not censor him. But anyways, thank you all for watching this. Tune in again. The show will not go on next week. I will be traveling with work. So anyways, I'll talk to you later.